All right. Darren was doing some setup, so we were waiting to start. I believe we're ready to go now. So they were trolling until they were actually able to start playing. So they're going to get roughly a 2-minute extension on. It's a little bit less than that, about 30 seconds, but we'll just say 2 minutes to make it a flat number. So pretty standard start for both decks, I believe. Dwarven Mine coming down, which is like not really
not great.
It's not great, but it's like also not bad. Getting to play at turn 1 against this style of deck, like you don't feel super bad. Whereas like if you were against Burn or something, playing a tap land on turn 1 sucks.
Well, but like, how does Damien actually know what he's into?
I can't imagine. But I could at the same time. It's when these type of decks are running around, they're the talk of the room.
True.
Like when you're like, yeah, dude, we looked over. Michael's taking extra turns. But we're going to see Damien announce probably to cast a Ren and 6 here. And Michael saying, I'm going to spell pierce your Ren and 6. Just kind of like a quick play thing here.
But we're going too fast. Need to slow down there, guys.
Oh, we had a sleeve bust. So it's not necessarily we're going too fast. We have a sleeve break. And Damien's like, I got to grab one from my sideboard real quick. Let's put a Ren on a stack. Let's get it spell pierced. Unable to pay. Oilers spell pierce and the old border Arid Mesa.
And the borderless Ren and 6.
Yeah, we got some borderless. We got Zendikar expeditions on one side. Most of the Shocklands are the OGs. Where?
Signed. Oh, we got some.
These guys are gaming. These guys are gaming for sure.
That's not just any signed card.
I don't know. It might be just any signed card. It's hard to tell. So, on to Damien's turn, we play a Bloodstained Mire. We're fetching up, probably getting a blue land. Gonna have to be a Steam Vents. Oh, not the OG Steam Vents. What a shame.
Well, no, see, I'm with Damien. No, those are the RTR ones. The guild
OGs are on Michael's side.
Yeah, Michael has the original Ravicos. From Dissension. I'm definitely an RTR guy though.
I like the RTR art. I'm just, if you're going to get the old, like if you're going to go to the old border, like not old border but the old ones, I feel like you match old ones to old ones, but I could be wrong. But at the end of the day, they're your cards. Play whatever art you like the best. You don't have to fit any specific theme. 3 mana. You tried to play a Fable. It also got Spell Pierce. So both of Michael's Spell Pierces are now used and unavailable to him later. But this Ren plan of getting it countered has paid off for Michael because Damien's now missed his 4th land drop.
And there's a Spell Pierce for the Prismari command.
So both players only playing 2. They've come in handy for both already. However, there is a 4th land in Michael's hand, I believe, but no Dwarven Mine. I didn't check the land list if he's playing Dwarven Mine, but with Basic Island, Beseiju, stuff like that, it's kind of a little bit harder to play like Dwarven Mines because you need to have the 4 mountains.
Yeah, for those of you wondering, those are signed Guru lands.
Oh, okay.
That's why I said that's just.
So if you don't know what the Guru lands are, they are not cheap lands.
Anyway, Dwarven Mine comes down. There's only 2 mountains in play for Michael, so no dwarf for him.
Damien's probably going to loot and make a treasure, I would imagine. The damage is not going to be super relevant.
Yeah, no. Looter Scooter, send it off. Oh, imagine if we could play with Smoker's Copter.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to place Copter in this deck. Creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not an effect. Not even the creature side.
Yeah, it was. memeing.
He just fact checking you.
Honestly,
You
good.
could have believed it.
Well, I mean, like I was talking about how we could. It's like chalice checking when you bounce a planeswalker with Teferi. It's the same thing.
What you just? What
Yeah,
happened? You
fire
just
and
said
ice.
top
Yep, we're
rear?
gonna
So we're-
ice tap down a land.
Probably Steam Vents. It's the only blue mana available other than the treasure. But if you get him to use his treasure, you're happy with that. If you're playing against creativity, which Damien has shown you enough cards that you probably know by now or should know.
Oh well,
Here we go.
make him have it.
There's Modify. Here comes the Archon. But the Bolt is going to save us from seeing the Archon.
Mm-hmm. But good on Damien being patient, holding back the creativity.
So this is going to be a Dwarven Mind Transmogrify of our own, and we might actually see Damien just die.
True. True.
This will be the 4th mountain coming from a Steam Vents, a Dwarven Mind, a Guru Mountain signed probably by the artist, and another Dwarven Mind. So all these mountains come in. Cool token.
The RK post token. Yeah.
Just to get put in the bin. Imagine getting tokens just to have them on the battlefield for 0.5 seconds. Transmogrify comes in. Damien, at this present moment, probably thinks an Archon's coming down. But is he in for a Rude Awakening?
Man, this is sick.
Not to root for any one player, but obviously you'd love to see when Valimachus comes into Modern and warps format a little bit with
You could
time.
you can almost say it might be a dragon warp.
Oh, no. So we got Velomox pulled up here. It's Flying Vigilance Haste 5/5. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 7 cards of your library. Look, Damien's reading it with us. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value less than or equal to its power from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Sometimes relevant in that random order, actually, considering when you're trying to loop returns.
Yeah.
You could technically get there.
Well,
Damien just picking it up.
Well,
Like
makes you
you're
so much
on the
better.
play and your opponent's mulliganing. Like
Yeah.
that feels really good. It doesn't feel as bad when you're like mulling. You get to draw the card because now you're up to 7, which feels slightly better. Scalding Tarn comes in. Scalding Tarn on the other side. You see 2 different styles. The old border with the news and the car expeditions.
Rogren Triumph here? Yeah.
I'm gonna grab a Triome. We're probably going to end up fetching it again on Damien's side to jam this Renin 6. I do believe Damien has 4 lands this time around, so even if it does get countered, maybe not.
No, just shock, play Ren, get the turn
And the Fable
for
again.
next turn.
So Damien's hand's looking real similar to what we saw in game 1. Just on his side, he's probably hoping more of the spells resolve. Which is this Ren does resolve, it is huge. I think you have it. We generally know the Archon sideboard, but I did want to go over Michael slightly. But there was like a judge question, and it was taking pretty long. There's just a couple of spicy cards in there that.
Yeah, it's more, it's just interaction and some really big beaters that you can bring down to like kind of shut out the game. So it's 2 Force Negation, 2 Mystical Dispute, 1 Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, 1 Iona Shield of Emeria, 1 Nahiri the Harbinger, 3 Veil of Summer, 1 Beseiju, 2 Nature's Claims, and 2 Flusterstorms.
Yeah.
But in this matchup, I think it's just like Force Negations and Flusterstorm.
Yeah, like you don't really get the benefit from the other thing, but you can definitely see how he's kind of organized his sideboard a little bit differently than the normal standard 4-color Archon deck to like play against specific matchups when he wants to flip. One card that we're not seeing a lot of, and Leyline Binding's going to have a big problem with it as well, is like Sierra's Emissary. Damien was talking about it. He's like, if I put it in and I name like lands, I have Protect from Valakut or whatever. And it's like, that's fair. But the problem is, Leyline Binding now exists. They can now take your Sierra's Emissary for 1 mana. Like before, they would be stuck with like a prismatic ending and not be able to take it out or whatever. Or like now they have Teferi, they have Leyline Binding, they have other bounce effects.
Can we get Hardesty to switch out that die on the right? See what the loyalty's at. Thank you, Taryn.
Yeah, most likely this is just up to 4.
Yeah,
up
it's
to
probably,
5.
it's probably at 4 right now. Comes in, it's 2. It comes in with 3. Goes up to 4.
Yeah.
So
3, 4, and then 5. Probably gonna fetch here, go up. Aaron's going out there to fix it. Or have Harsey fix it.
yeah, either way.
A lot of times you just grab the die, you just replace it. Most players don't mind.
Yeah. Cool. Much easier. Thank you, Taryn.
Okay,
Little cut.
So no shock in here, which shuts off a couple cards for Damien. Prismari commands shut off. I mean, it doesn't really matter because you do have a Baby Teferi in play. Makes it a lot harder for Michael to interact. There is a Beseiju, however, if Damien tries to, if, for example, he has an artifact and play like a treasure or something and tries to target it with creativity instead of his creature, it can do that. A little bit of a scary play here to Beseiju a land. Just because the mana could be floated. Prismari command could then be casted, and then Damien still have an extra mana for Spell Pierce, Bolt, Hard Evidence, a lot of 1-mana spells that he would have access to if he wanted to.
So,
but he gets away with it. Yeah. He does get Damien to go get a land, and it comes in tapped, but he did it also before Damien drew, so Damien doesn't know whether he wants to shock or not. I believe he did it before Damien drew. Could not have.
He hasn't drawn yet. But you're going to take the damage.
He's going to shock. Now he's drawing. Playing for that. There's a Dwarven Mine. Really good draw.
Yeah. Anything other than Force Negation.
What you shut off by Teferi.
Yeah.
Like, this is just everything you wanted. Damien is just kind of making sure. This is the spot for Damien that, like, everybody's like, oh, slam the Archon. Well, Damien also, with what he has in play, can just wait one more turn and slam 2 Archons. Because the Velomachus cannot cast those spells.
Correct.
With the Teferi in play.
Well,
so even if, like, for example, in the spot, if Michael flips out of Velomachus, it, 1, does not kill Teferi. So it's going to have to be hit Teferi and bolt it somehow when you're down on mana. Like, you won't have the mana. But also, well, Renping, I guess, can do it. And then you have Force and Negation interaction. But Damien is going to wait. He's going to play land. He's going to go get a Dwarven Mine. Put it in a boy on his end step, on Michael's end step.
Yep.
And then he's going to play the Dwarven Mine from hand, make 2 boys, and then flip out 2 Archons and just shut the game out. Like, he's just going to gain 6, draw 2, make you discard 2, make you lose 6. And I kind of like that play.
Yep.
Because with your hand, like, 2 Archons is so much harder to deal with than 1. It's so much harder to deal with. 1 Archon, yeah, it does it. You Unholy Heat it, for example, it dies. You call it a day. You're like, man, that sucks. Well, if one gets Unholy Heated and the other one's still in play, you're still swinging 9, basically. With the trigger to make them lose a life, because Veil of Summer's not good here.
No.
With Teferi.
Yeah. Teferi shutting down all the instant speed interaction is, like, outside of your channel. You still channel things out.
We also saw Michael bring in Nahiri.
Mm-hmm.
It's in hand. So that would imply, I think, that we would bring in the Emrakul.
Yeah. Typically where you would get placed. Like, if I... Just assuming, like, what else would the Nahiri be doing here?
I don't know. Because I believe Nahiri only gets tap things, right? And, like, the treasures don't get tapped unless they're used. Clues aren't getting tapped unless they're used. So, like, it's not really catching a whole lot of artifacts. The creatures that flip off of Fable are not artifact creatures. So even if they go and they get tapped, not really doing a whole lot.
Damien seems worried about this. You know, yeah, so here's the ETB. Michael can fire off the Beseiju.
Which, if Damien gets another mountain, it still happens. So, yeah, Damien pretty well has wrapped up in terms of that. I guess Odawara might be something you're also worried about.
Maybe if you're in Damien's position.
Like, you
Maybe.
could technically get your Teferi Odawara to, like, Teferi gets hit with an Odawara, you then get Force of Negation. That can happen.
Yeah.
That is a legitimate concern that you could be thinking about on Damien's side. Also might see why Damien elected to try to go for 2 instead of 1. Because, again, if your token gets Odawara, well, now you got your Indomitable Creativity countered. That doesn't feel great.
No. What land is Damien gonna get here? Okay. Yeah, still get the dwarf.
Oh. Damien is still only going to get 1, though, now, because of this. Right? Because I would assume this is happening on upkeep again.
No.
Well, then at that point, he could have just shocked.
This is end step.
Yeah,
This is Michael's end step.
Oh, draw another Dwarven Mine. Why don't you?
Well, he still had the other one in hand.
Yeah, so now we just it's not gonna matter. We start making boys. So I think you're probably fine to go ahead and swing this Dwarven Mine in if you really just want to hit him for 1. It's a little bit. It's like a little bit of a small.
Send the message.
Like, it's a message sender for sure.
Yeah. It's not always about winning.
Yeah, here it comes.
Let's send him. Boom.
Hitting Ren. Ren's gonna die to your Archon.
Yeah.
So hitting Ren didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Guaranteeing that it gets at least dealt with a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to fine. And this is where you don't do it, 'cause now he gets to block. The message gets sent back the opposite direction.
Return to sender. Oh.
Man, what a small little punt that was. The noodle's cooking. Damien might have slightly forgot about it for the fact that when he played it earlier, the first one never made it.
Yep.
Made it dork, and then when the second one did, it was only there for a second. Damien again just setting up for a turn.
So this might be me overthinking it, but I think just like it's the small things that it's what's putting Damien behind here. It's not only just sending the attacking with the dwarf and like losing the chance to go creativity for 2.
I guess
but now
he has creativity in hand, right?
Yeah,
we're not.
Yeah, he still has it.
We didn't just like mistake the card for something else, did we?
No shot.
Because I mean, that would make a lot more sense that he's not doing it if we mistaken a card. That's creativity.
It's right there.
It's right there. Okay, thank God. I was like, did we just talk for 15 minutes about a card that's not even in its hand?
Well, the other thing for Michael, he's staring down a Ren with 7.
Yeah, like his run's a 7. He's buying a Beseiju back every turn, but it's not really accomplishing much. This Teferi is huge, so unless you have a direct way to kill it, which this deck doesn't, from what we saw earlier.
As Leyline binding.
Yeah.
Like
just needs to find a Leyline binding though.
Yeah. And this is one of the downsides for Damien waiting to get max value and just trying to win
on the spot, basically.
Yeah.
So next turn, Damien will go Dwarven Mine, make a dude, fetch with the Tarn, make a dude.
Well, I was getting shocked.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he still needs to go like mine.
There's not a whole lot to really think about. This thing's dead.
Yeah, so wait, how many mines does the list play? 3?
I think Michael's was unknown because I didn't really go over the lands, but Damien's is on 4.
Okay, so Damien at least has 1 more in there. So you can still fetch to make a dwarf and play the mine from hand to make a dwarf. Discards to hand size. Michael has got a full grip. Not a whole lot else going on.
So other downside to what we're seeing, Damien taking so long to like just kind of win
that-
here
That was
is we have a handy dandy clock.
Discord, right?
Well, oh yeah,
Pretty
okay.
much. But like the time we're taking has been an extra 5 minutes at the very least, if not more,
Mm-hmm.
where we could have potentially got to our game 3 quicker. Because it is very possible with this type of deck, with how much weird interaction they have with Prismari commands blowing up artifacts and the creatures that they try to target, that the game can drag out. These games are very weird. Like, these are like kind of like the blue-white control deck whenever somebody gets their baby Teferi to resolve and stay.
Yeah, so the
It's
situation,
kind of the same feeling to me.
The situation when Michael was tapped out, and Damien could have put 2 into play.
Yeah, if he would have just done it, flipped.
Now Michael is sitting on a Beseiju in hand and a Bolt.
Bolt still can't do anything. But yeah, like in theory,
So I'm saying like make a dwarf,
yeah,
hit the dwarf, like bolt the dwarf.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I keep reading that Teferi is as broken as it is. I'm sorry, but Teferi,
I can say it 3 more times for you if
it's
you'd
just
like.
so.
It's all the way up to 7.
It's so bad.
No, it's actually pretty good.
It's
It's a pretty good card.
It's so bad. Anyway,
Somebody's got to keep these
you keep what?
keep these Cascade decks in check.
That-
Which you gotta admit, that one's fair. Of all the things it does, it keeps that one in check. Other
Sure.
than that, it's messed up in a lot of ways. But Fable kicks off, Archon and Land go in. Damien, we need you to just play this mine and the Archon, man. Like, if you do this, Michael's probably just picking him up. Because even if he were to flip a Velomachus out, he can't attack.
No.
Yours are 6/6s.
Damien might be overthinking it though.
I think we're seeing a little bit of overthinking. We're down a game. He doesn't really want to make a mistake, but I think playing slightly slower might, like, trying to get more value, is kind of trapping himself into this game plan that's not helping him win, actually. He just rolled back on the plan again, and he just went and fetched Shock.
Well,
now he's only going to get 1 again.
On a positive note, let's look at some positives.
Okay.
We have game footage that we can go over with him.
Be like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
But
And it's not to flame him, chat. That's not the goal of like bringing this stuff up. It's just like going over play lines.
so it
And
just
we're
passes. The other thing that we've been able to do is we've been able to creativity at instant speed. So there's been plays where he could creativity on Michael's instep to do the thing.
He has a veil now. Not that it matters, because
Yeah.
Michael can't play at instant speed. But
These are the little things where, like, this gets Otawara bounced, a veil gets cast, Force goes on the stack, because we do know Michael plays Force. Might not be in hand. It's just like playing this a little bit slower is kind of.
we're running out of time. Damien is running out of time.
But for Michael, you're kind of okay with this. Like, in Michael's mind, you got to be thinking he
Michael's-
just doesn't have creativity.
Yeah, Michael's probably sitting back going like, I just keep handling the one that's in play, and he doesn't have it, so I must be fine.
Now Bolt's going to come down and probably deal with the dwarf. So Damien's in the same spot again,
Unless
where he has 1 again.
Damien fires off the creativity here. I bet.
Which you could do in response. They're asking if that has haste, basically. I think was the question there. It's not. So he's going to finally do it in response with the fairy. So he pointed at the fairy saying this is allowing me to do it at instant speed. So this is going to flip into an Archon. The only problem is this leaves Archon slightly vulnerable because of how much mana Michael now has. Ren's going to go down. Card is going to get discarded. Demon's going to draw, gain 3. Michael's going to lose 3. For somebody that might not know, because I don't think we've actually pulled it up yet, but Taryn, if you want to pull up Archon of Cruelty, it does have a lot of text. One relevant text, and why we talked about Veil of Summer, is that Archon actually targets. Therefore, if you're able to Veil of Summer, Archon cannot target you. Therefore, it just enters and does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of something to note for Game 3. I would assume that we're getting to. Can't imagine Michael has a whole lot more extra to play here. Besides maybe a boy, creativity, and Velmox swing and hope Damien doesn't block. Maybe and then you would have to have another bolt to then kill it and have Damien have no interaction, but it's going to get bolted. Michael can't do anything in response because of Baby Teferi. But real quick, Archon of Cruelty enters battlefield or attacks target opponent. That's the main key.
Yep.
Archon is a black permanent, so Veil of Summer does give you hexproof from it. But you get to draw a card, gain 3 life. Your opponent discards a card, loses 3 life, but they also sack a creature or planeswalker.
Right.
Damien having 2 bolts in hand.
You know what? I'm
Kind of relevant.
I'm gonna pred it right now. Michael's going to draw a Velmox this game.
Like first draw, you think? Also, there's a hard evidence, man.
I know.
You have to keep a hard evidence.
No, you don't.
Nah, you got a clue. That's an extra draw. That's a crab that blocks Ragavan. It doesn't appear in any of these decks.
Oh, Damien.
But hard evidence, the card that kind of makes this deck possible for the most part. It's really good against blocking like Ragavan and whatnot. But you create an 0/3 blue crab creature token.
Mm-hmm.
Thing chumps all day. And then investigate. You make a clue. You can sack and draw a card for 2 mana. And Michael having the Blues Clues print. An OG for sure.
Oh yeah, it's great.
But a little weird fact. You know, I didn't know this because you know how normally they come up like blue is for boys, pink was for girls kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, blue's the girl,
yeah,
and the pink one's the boy.
Yeah,
that was such a cool thing. I was like, that's so sick.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that until like I saw it on a random TikTok, and I was like,
take your gender norms, put it in the trash.
Yeah,
boom.
It was so sick though. It was just like a small thing. Somebody watching right now just learned that.
True.
You
you were today years old when you found that out. But fire off the bolt on the crab. No. Okay. Oh, is Damien gonna just sit on bolt and just be like, Velmox?
He could.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
I feel like you just put yourself open to so many things doing that. Also, oh, he did.
Okay, all right,
cool. So we figured it out. He did bolt it.
Making sure.
It was vocally. This is the thing we're talking about when players talk to each other. Is I'm gonna bolt that, but I'm gonna go get my land, and then they're like,
I wish the people that played video games would talk with me.
No.
I'm lonely. Chat. So yeah, Michael's just gonna send it back. That makes sense. But David just looks at the top card,
thank God,
and just puts it into play.
So cool thing here. Michael might not be doing it on that one. Michael does have a remand in hand.
Yeah.
The spicy card of this generation.
Remand's such a fun one.
Damien kinda has a soft hand to what Michael could do. If Michael just creativity's his clue token, Damien can't do anything. He has Transmogrify, Creativity, and a Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very possible that Michael just goes for this next turn if he has it and just wins on the spot. Like it does.
Yeah.
And hopefully this time around for Damien, we see him just like make Michael do it. Because last time he only made Michael swing once, which
Damien's at 20 right now.
You're a lot higher than what you were at the time. Like you were guaranteed going to 4. Like you're in Bolt, Ren, Ping range. You did have a Ren in play. Like you're dead to so many things. Like I don't disagree with you picking him up.
Yeah.
If you're just like I want to save time, I just like.
But also if you want to save time, let's save those 8 minutes in game 2.
Yeah. But So here we are. Land gets iced down. We're not going to ice down the fetch land because that doesn't make any sense. No. Damien now left with 1 mana. So no ice on the respawn that you have to worry about. The only thing that this could be, in theory, to you as a spell pierce or a bolt, if you try to do it on a Dwarven Mine, if you have Transmogrify, you have to.
Yeah, but it's just an island go. Respecting it.
Island pass.
Putting some fear in there.
Or he doesn't have it. He does not have it. He has a Time Warp in hand. That is a spell that he does have. Ren coming down.
Michael's playing around that remand. Ever so fearful of.
This is actually a good remand target. Damien didn't fetch, which implies that he's trying to get a land. Letting this Ren resolve kind of defeats the purpose. In terms, like, this is just a sign as if you are playing a game and your opponent doesn't fetch with their fetch land on your instep, they're probably trying to hit a land.
Prismari command here?
It could be Prismari command. 2 damage, make a treasure loot or treasure loot.
Yeah, treasure. No. Maybe
it's treasure loot.
Okay, yeah.
We're probably trying to see if we hit the spell to freely remand, and then we can go for it next turn. Discards a Dwarven Mine.
Well, it drew 2 Dwarven Mines, to be fair.
Yeah,
so.
And then remand the Ren. Oh, he discarded the other one. Now he's remanding it because he drew an additional remand.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Draw.
Untap. Draw for turn. The chances Michael is just playing around the Spell Pierce and understands that needs this to stick.
I don't know. Probably pretty high. Michael's been playing creativity for a while. He was playing the Archon, I believe, at the Invitational is the last time.
He top 8'd with Grixis creativity.
Yeah. So he top 8'd with Grixis creativity. It's
So
just going to take an extra turn.
So the Time Warp here allows him to untap, play land number 6, so he can pay 2 mana into the Spell Pierce that Damien doesn't have.
Yeah, but he also doesn't have the spell. Michael just doesn't have the creativity.
Or you mean or a Transmogrify?
Or a Transmogrify. Which you want the creativity to hit your clue token. That's why we haven't seen this clue get sacked yet. But we have a Ren come down.
Alright, so
Michael does have another Time Warp in hand. But I believe Michael's play with the Time Warp is get a Velomachus, hope to hit an extra turn spell, and then just cast the extra turn spell.
Yeah.
Because with 2 Time Warps out of the deck, we're now down to 5 in the deck. 5 in the deck. And that's not counting if he cut any. Because, like, casting Time Sieve could be pretty bad against, like, what type of deck you're playing against.
Savor the Moment.
Or Savor the Moment. I said Time Sieve.
Yeah.
That's a taking turn spell, sort of.
Close enough. It has time in the word. And it is Savor. And Savor and Siege.
Realistically, it has that flavor, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Damien finally fetching.
So
has to do something.
If Damien takes the initiative here, not the actual mechanic to take the initiative, chat, just like being very forward with the plan.
Ren, I believe this is to try to draw out any counter magic that Michael might have. He does have the Transmogrify, Damien does, but they're both respecting the fact that each other play Spell Pierce / like some amount of counter spells. Damien's also seeing Michael discard or remand and have remand in hand, which might be signaling that Michael has an additional one when he does not.
Yeah.
So Damien might be like, it's just gonna get remanded, which isn't the worst for you. Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
But like, your spell didn't get countered that way. Also playing around Bolt, because if you target a crab with Transmogrify, like, you're losing it. But I do know Damien has a Dwarven Mine in play. Or in his hand, so he's not missing the 4th land drop.
There's a Bolt now.
Bolt being super relevant here. Ren 6 coming down to clear up Bolt, the Dwarf. Oh, he had a creativity too.
No, he's had it.
I knew he had transmogrify.
Yeah.
I just forgot about creativity.
Yeah, so it's one of those. If Damien just would have taken the initiative this turn, sure, it's a very hard read for him. I'm not saying it's an easy at all.
Yeah.
It's a very hard read for him to go. He has 2 cards in hand. One of them I know is Beseiju.
Yeah.
What is this other card? I'm going to jam this transmogrify here.
Yeah. It's hard for sure.
Yeah.
But you can. Sometimes that's what they say when you're playing against control, and some people lose, and they're like, they always have the magic, or they always have the. Or by magic, I mean counterspell. They always have the play that is good against me. Sometimes waiting too long gives them time to draw the answers.
Yeah, you're
Michael's
like,
been looting a ton.
I only waited 2 turns. Yeah, but they scryed 3 times, drew 4 cards.
Yeah,
They
it's
saw
like
7.
they're going through their deck. They're eventually going to find things to interact, and that could have been a spot. Like, it's a bold call.
Mhm.
It is a very hard jam it there and hope to God it works, but it's very possible that that's what you're supposed to do.
So,
And then try to do the whole Ren thing next turn. Because, like, you're with your hand, a little less now because Michael sacked that clue. Your hand initially was soft to him just creativity on the clue, and then you lose.
you know what's really frustrating for Damien here? He doesn't know it, but Michael has Prismari Command Bolt in hand. So Prismari Command 1 to the dwarf, 1 to face.
Because Mario Command cannot split.
Oh, you can't split? I thought you could.
No.
But yeah, either way.
Fire you can with Fire and Ice, but for
But, like,
Mario you cannot. But you can
Prismari-
still, like,
Yeah, and he still has 4 lands. Michael does. Michael
Yeah.
can still shoot down the dwarf, bolt the crab, and like loot or make a treasure, and then will completely shut down a transmogrify or the creativity. This is a stellar game, though. Really enjoying this game so far. Both players jumping through mental gymnastics and trying to figure it out. Their path to victory here. Both of them putting the other one on edge and having to play around. Really, a lot of respect from both players, though. Just like respecting the threat. Like,
yeah.
this could happen at any point, and I need to be ready.
Yeah. Because your decks are so explosive. It's not like letting an Omnath resolve or letting, like, a lot of these other threats resolve. You're letting Archon of Cruelty resolve or a Velomachus resolve.
Which,
Like, these aren't small threats. They do so much. Well, Velomachus doesn't do a ton if it doesn't make it to combat, for example. But, like, for example, in that spot, like, if Damien had a Fire and Ice, he can just ice it down before he goes to combat.
Mm-hmm.
And then you call it a day. But Damien doesn't play Fire and Ice, so he doesn't have that option available to him. Whereas, like, Michael does. Technically, he can ice down an Archon, so he can be a little looser. I think in some spots, 2 Archons, not great. But certain low interactions that he has over Damien kind of favors him. Plus, like, playing Remans helps as well.
Oh, Damien making his move. And I spoke too soon.
I think this is a hesitation on Transmogrify or Creativity, I think.
Should be Mogrify, yeah. Mogrify here. Grafton's going to feint. Oh no, he's just going to straight bolt.
Yeah.
Playing around the Spell Pierce.
Playing around Spell Pierce, or well, trying the best, but not even necessarily in that spot, but leaving up a mana to bolt in response to Michael.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're after. Like, Damien could have creativity and did 2 things
Mm-hmm.
and really make Michael work for it to get both of them off.
But because
But,
Damien
like,
waited.
But I would say in terms of threats that can get flipped potentially, Velomachus is like the harder one to deal with.
Yeah, don't worry, Michael drew a another bolt. Oh no, pitching the bolt keeps the Time Warp in hand.
Yeah.
So
Michael is now showing that he's committing to hopefully getting this creativity.
well, also something to mention, land in Velomachus, you can cast a Velomachus.
Yeah.
So you can like uptick Ren to get a land back. Just drawing Velomachus at any point now is live.
Yes, now you have creativity that's live. Marcus is live. Transmogrify is kind of live. We know Damien has a bolt, but that's bird's eye view, of course. Here's why you might feel obligated to do it. Again, just want a reminder, these players are not at time until they hit -2 minutes, and then they officially go to turns. We give them a little bit of time. There's our card. And this is for 2. Damien has to get them both somehow. Not going to be able to. Michael being generous enough to play it on top of both the cards, saying, I'm targeting these things.
Yeah.
Maybe going ahead and bolting one in case of, like, obviously 2 Velomachus don't matter because of certain things, but it could hit technically Emrakul,
which we assume is in that got brought in because Nahiri came in.
Yeah, so like the idea is like you still want to go ahead and get rid of 1. I believe Velomachus is legendary, so like if you were to hit 2, like 1 would get sacked. So like the idea is to prevent Velomachus and
something else.
And something else.
So we know. Oh, and
there's the time warp.
But that's the 4th time warp though.
Yeah.
So at best, Damien is just dead here.
Damien is just dead. This hits for 5, and then the extra turn hits for 5 again.
All right.
Michael Grafton pulling that game out in game 3 just before turns. If not, he was turn 0.
Yeah.